sum that up perfectly.
Yeah.
And just having that trust and that vulnerability is so huge. So when I cry, when I feel like I'm just completely emotionally capped and I cry, for me, that's such a big thing as a strong, independent woman, because I feel like I don't want, so there's two parts of this. I have been in the past for many years where I don't want people to see that side of me of crumbling. On the flip side, over the last probably 3 or 4 years, I've embraced that so much where I've been very open, even in front of my kids, around crying and explaining and being vulnerable about why I'm upset. And then you spoke about that trust and showing up and being able to have that compassion from your partner and that empathy, and then having a conversation around it. I'll also throw in there, because this has been huge for me in the past, not feeling like you're going to receive a passive aggressive response back for the next couple of days or a week or a couple of weeks, where you're getting the silent treatment and then you start to feel stupid and ashamed, which is an awful feeling as a woman. It's an awful feeling for anybody, I'm sure, but as a woman, that feeling of being ashamed and I should have said this or I should not have said this is huge. And I think for me, it ties exactly what you said, just feeling safe, being able to express myself without that fear of judgment. And it's taken me a lot of inner work just to get to that point where my partner, Rob, respects my boundaries, but also supports me through those challenges and has allowed me and allowed us to build that emotional security.
I love that.
Around us.
I love how you talked about crying, because I think it's so important. So
I almost cried just saying it.
Well, as a ditto strong woman who never cries, and so sorry. I cry all the time. I just do it in private. And I was raised to not, I'm sure my mom doesn't feel that way, but like we weren't allowed to have an emotion as a kid in a weird way, or it wasn't valued, or it was dismissed, so I learned at a young age to just deal with my shit privately. And so I would cry in my room. And so that for me has been my pattern, where I cry alone. I'm not leaning on anybody. I don't need anybody. I can do it fiercely all by myself. It's fine. I'm fine. And then recently in my meditations, I've been crying, like huge release. And I don't get that when I meditate. I've had it with Reiki, but not when I meditate. And so I talked to Sherry. Thank you, Dr. Sherry. And I'm like, what's going on? Because I'm so uncomfortable.
What a release.
Because Sherry's so phenomenal. That's amazing. And I'm like, she's like, you're letting go of stuff you've probably carried forever. Right? And so I'm like, okay, so it's good. And she's like, yeah, it's good. You're letting go you're making room for some good stuff, right? You're letting go of, and she asked me like, what's happening in your brain? I'm like, nothing really. It's fantastic. It's energy moving through you. It's things you just need to release into the world. I'm like, okay. She's like, cry all the time. And I'm like, okay, I'm not there. But it is a release, and that's so important to get it out of your system.